I mean, if the dog is smaller than you, it's a puppy.
But every dog technically is. I mean, if you see you are a big buddy. Dire wolf, that's not a dog.
Clifford the big red dog.
I mean, never say never. It's a puppy.
Okay, well, sorry. I'll give it to you. You're the animal expert.
Yes. I mean, of our options.
Okay, every dog is a puppy. Every soda is a Coke. I get it.
Welcome back. And there's no such thing as unsweet tea.
And every tea is it the tea sweet or not? I'm like, nobody else asked that, y'all.
I want to thank you, ladies, for being here with us today. I am super excited because I am a big fan of one of you. And this is like a dream for me to moderate this panel. I'm going to ask a couple of questions because, you know, I'm up here and I have the mic. But just a couple, then I'm going to go ahead and give it to your audience because you have so many people here that I know they have lots of questions. That being said, if you want to start lining up while I'm asking, that would be great. My first question, I love Supernatural. And what? I do.
What? No. She said what? I said what?
One of the things I love about Supernatural is
The women.
The women, excuse me.
We've done a panel
It
together.
needs more women.
I love the fact that we're on the panel for the first time, you guys. It's very accurate.
But it has such a big theme of family, the whole show. How did that affect you guys off stage or behind the scenes? I'm sorry, in the theater, behind the scenes. Like your interactions with everybody.
Well,
Did that carry over the theme of family and connection?
I will say, you know, I was never in any scenes with either of these women, and I adore them. I think we should be in scenes together.
Yes.
I feel like there is very much a feeling of family with most of the people who have been on that show. It's an incredibly, my experience on it was that it was such a generous and collaborative environment, and there was such a just a welcome. I mean, I didn't come until season 11, y'all, and I didn't know what to expect because sometimes you go into a show that's been running for a long time, and even if people are perfectly happy and they don't hate each other, they're still kind of like, all right, this is what we do. Come on, do your thing. But they were just so welcoming and so excited, and I saw them welcome other guest stars the same way. And, you know, what do you have to bring to make this special? And that was, I think that has to be one of the reasons it lasted so long, because they did create that incredibly welcoming and just creatively, like there were no limits. You could kind of do what you wanted. And that was just a whole lot of fun. And I think that attracts actors who, because they want that. I think maybe that's why we have so much fun together, even at conventions and stuff. That was a super long-winded answer.
I loved every second. I loved every second. No, I didn't get to act with any other female character except Ruth. I was in a couple scenes with her, but yeah, me too. My character hated her character, so it wasn't like, but we had a great time, and just, it really is being at conventions together where we are able to hang out and appreciate each other. And like Emily said, like there's no assholes on the set. And I think that was Jared and Jensen. It's like they really set a bar that I've been on sets where it was pretty toxic and terrible and nobody wanted to be there and nobody's having a good time and it was awful. And the fact that, you know, Jared and Jensen treated everybody equal no matter what job they did. Everybody's a family. They had lighthearted approach to everything, and then they just turn it on. You know, it's just like, it was fun, it was play, and that's where people's best work comes out, and that's where the best of people come out. And I think that's, you could tell with the cast, everybody has that feeling, we're all equals, we're all in together, and we're having fun together.
I have been on a part of sets that feel like family, and where that question really resonates for me, that surprised me, was the relationship with the fans. Is that there is such a genuine exchange of affection that invites me to be genuine and give genuine affection. There isn't this expectation of status and image and icon. It's just it just feels like being welcomed home whenever I'm with the fans. So that's also where that affects me, as well as what they said.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Great.
So another question I had, how did you develop your characters beyond what the script had? Yourself, what did you put into your characters? Well, I have been friends with Samantha Smith since before Supernatural existed.
I didn't know that.
Yep. We met in 1999 and I fell in love with her immediately. So one of the most Kim moments that I was like, I'm sorry, y'all are stuck with this. This is going to be my response. Is the first time Jody meets Mary, where I'm like, your mom. And then I throw my arms around her because Jody's not a hugger, nor is Mary. And I just hug her. And then we're both like, that was weird. And that was 100% Kim. I was just so excited to be on set with my friend.
So I was launching my company, Geek and Sundry, in like March of 2012. And I got the script in the mail and I was like, I can't do a TV show. But I read the script. I was like, when else will play this part? Also, it's season 7. This is getting canceled soon. I gotta do this show. But later I found out Robbie Thompson, the writer who created Charlie, he basically wrote himself in. And he wrote a Felicia Day type. And it was only because Sarah Gamble, the showrunner, was like, well, let's try to get Felicia Day. And he was like, really? Then I got the part. So essentially, the part was written for me, but it wasn't even going to be given to me. Thank God for Sarah.
It's very Hollywood.
It's so Hollywood. Well, I will tell you, twice I have gotten, well, first of all, I did a yogurt commercial in like 2007 or something, where I'm like walking around and I had this, I'm not speaking on camera. I just have an internal dialogue. Like, I love the low carb life. I look good. I actually remember the whole thing. So then, and then later they had me audition for my inner voice and I did not get the part. So that's a little bit more Hollywood, but it's close. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
That's kind of important. I had to work really hard on pretending that Jensen was good looking. And staring soulfully at him without saying anything. What did I bring to Amara? I am super happy when I came back in 15 that I got to be a little sassier with Chuck because Rob Benedict in real life, if you've met him, is just like the, cutest, cuddliest little, like, I feel like he's my little brother, even though he is older than me. And so when we finally got to like be in episodes together, we just had so much fun off camera. And then on camera, it's like Greek myth. And it was very satisfying to get to do that. But I'm so glad that when we came back in later seasons, some of that was introduced a little bit. And we got to just be, a little, I got to put him in his place a little bit more and just be a little sassy. It didn't end well for me. But it was fun for a while. Also, speaking of that ending, I was so wanting them, if they were going to have like this whole Chuck Mara creation, I wanted him to walk out of that room and have like half of Chuck and half of Amara and have to play it that way. And he was willing, but apparently nobody else thought that was a good idea.
Thank you. One more question. I'm going to give it to the audience. Were any of you, involved in any way in any of the behind the scenes pranks? Drink.
Did you say drink?
Yeah, you got to drink whenever anybody asks a prank question.
That is
point.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Oh, I didn't get it.
I didn't get either. No.
I had no idea.
I didn't understand what people would. I did cons before, like when I first got the part. I would do a couple cons, and people would ask me this, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" Jerry and Jensen are so sweet, and so they teased me a little bit, but there was no pranks. And then one of my last episodes before OG Charlie, I did a scene with Misha, and I literally saw these guys give him like a wedgie while he's doing a close up. And I was like, what is going on? And they just kept doing like wet willies and like, I think Jared like took his shirt off. It's just like, and I took the beach and I was like, how do you do this? He was like, I don't know. So that's the only thing I know about pranks. It was a secondhand thing. So
I pulled one. I talked to the director first. So we shot in Vancouver where my friend Brianna lives, Sheriff Donna. And so that meant that sometimes she'd come and hang out on set when I was shooting. And so there was this scene where Dean and Jody are talking in Jody's kitchen, and I'm doing dishes. And so I ran this by the director and so that he would keep the camera rolling, and he was prepared, and also he gave me permission. I was like, yes. So we all knew it was happening. And so we finished the scene, and then I handed Jensen the dish towel, and I said, so could you finish up the dishes, because I have a date. And he goes, what? Ooh, what? And Brianna walks around the corner and goes, hey, sweetie. And I'm like, hi, honey. And then she gives Dean the hardest side eye up and down. She goes, ready to go? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, God. And Jensen, being the consummate comedy professional that he is, buttons our prank by turning to the camera and going, okay. So it didn't get him, but it was a funny outtake.
I also never got pranked. Ruth and I tried to do a prank once. So we had the one episode that we got to be in scenes together. We were in this super glamorous location. It was like this old grain silo. It was freezing. And the whole crew was required to wear hard hats because stuff could fall at any moment. And we were just prancing around, in our dresses, and she had heels.
Was that near the llama farm? I shot a couple of episodes someplace like that, near a llama farm.
No, we had no llamas.
Okay.
damn it.
Were fun. But we decided, because it was Rowena was
Canadian llamas? Weird.
Rowena was sensing my aura, and I guess I'd just been smited by somebody, so she was checking it out. We were like, oh, we're gonna do a little prank. We're gonna she told me she was gonna grab my boob, give me a little boop boop on one of the takes. And then it would be hilarious because the boys prank all the time. So we did this, and she did the thing, and nobody reacted. And so we kind of communicated with our eyes, and we just kept going. And then the director said cut, and we were like, did you guys notice anything? And they were so unaccustomed to having, just two women doing scene. And they thought we were just making an acting choice. They were all just trying to be really respectful. They were like, girls have a sense of humor. What? So that didn't work.
Well, they didn't want to hurt your feelings. Well,
Yeah.
Listen, girls always cup each other's breasts, all right? That's what we do when we go to the bathroom together.
Probably in their heads, they were probably like, yep, I knew it.
write it in for the next scene. The problem was you didn't make the whole sandwich.
Thank you.
That was sold it.
Next time.
There are children in the audience. I already know you're here. You're fine. You signed the disclaimer, parents. All right, we're gonna pass this on over to our audience members. So the first person to step up and speak very loudly into the microphone. I mean, don't scream, but we want to hear you. Hi, I'm Anna.
Hi.
Supernatural is my comfort show. I watch it every day. I love you guys so much. My question is, what was your favorite episode to film? Oh, Wayward Daughters, because it was mine.
Oh, yeah.
That show. Purely an egoic response right there.
You put a lot into that. I'm so admiring you, the fact that you got that done, and I know the hoops you got to jump through, the network approvals, the script development, it's so hard to make anything in Hollywood. And the fact that that got filmed is just amazing. And I wish it had gotten a chance to develop further. The LARPing episode was mine. The one that was LARPing, because I got twisted leather.
Yeah.
which I could never fit in now. But at the same time, it's like custom leather pants. Other people should pay for those for me. Yeah.
I loved getting to shoot the episode where I got to go up in a harness and get attacked by like angels and demons and witches, and I got impaled with a spear because it was just, I'd never gotten to do anything. It's fun. And she takes the licking and keeps on ticking. And it was really satisfying to get to finally, after all this buildup of like this feud between Chuck and Amara, to finally have this scene with Chuck and to get to go at him and injure him. But also it was weird because like this was the end of the season and they were so tight for the schedule that Jensen and Jared had to start shooting something for another episode while we were shooting that. So we like did their coverage for that scene first, and then they just weren't there for the rest of it. So it was just, TV's weird. It happens, but it was very fun to do that.
Thank you. You guys are awesome.
Thank you, Anna.
All right, next question.
Hi.
Kelsey. So when you guys are filming an episode, of course, you don't see special effects until after.
Can you be a little louder?
Sorry, is that not loud enough?
Hi, okay.
Now
Hi.
you're loud enough.
When you guys are filming an episode, you guys don't get to see the special effects until afterwards, and we get to see them. So what's an episode that you filmed that you look back on and you saw, oh man, I look kind of badass in that. That was really cool too. Like looking back and seeing special effects added there.
That was me completely, like for the first few episodes, because I'd never done a character with any kind of superpowers, and I felt like an idiot. I had to like spend all this time with like a wind cannon blowing on me, and I'm like, "Where are you?" And in particular, I remember in the episode where we were like way out in the boonies, and Dean came to see me, and we kissed, and then there were like who were they? They were angels, I think, that were like standing in the distance, and I was just like poof, 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 and then they had these grotesque reactions. It was so dumb to shoot that, and I was like, this is not gonna look good at all. And then I saw it, and it was much easier to do stuff after that because I could trust that they would make it look good, and I realized I didn't like, the less I did the better, and it would just make their stuff look cooler.
I didn't have any special effects in my.
You didn't need them.
Yeah, thank you. But I will say something. Thank you. But I did this movie. I will tell you a story about how special effects can go wrong when you don't know what's going on. I did this sci-fi movie that was very low budget called Red Werewolf Hunter. Maybe some of you might have seen it. It was a pretty good script. I don't know if it turned out as good as the script was in the beginning, but it was very cheap. And so when I was fighting, I was fighting werewolves because it's a werewolf hunter thing. And I was like, well, where are the werewolves? Where do I look? And like, okay, here are previs. They're going to be your height and they're humanoid. And so like, I acted like that. They were humanoid like werewolves at my eye level. When I watched the movie, they're freaking wolves. And I'm looking completely, like the wolves are down here. And I'm like, and the wolves in front of me. Like, it's not my fault. You guys changed it to a real wolf. So we have no control over that. At least CGI my eyes, man. Look at the budget. They did not have the budget. So it can go wrong very well. I'm glad Supernatural take care of its magic users.
I also didn't have a lot of special effects. My stunt doubles made me look like a badass. That was always fun. There were a couple of things where I was like, oh, I killed that if that had been me. And there are still, even on Supernatural, there's a few. I did have an experience where they were like, it's gonna be this, and it's gonna be this, and it's gonna be this, and it's gonna be da 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 da. And I'm like, okay, that's how we're gonna act, like it's this big. And when we watched it, we affectionately call it the space vagina. And you all know which effect I'm talking about. I'm like, that doesn't look like anything other than a glowing. Okay, all right, fine, all right. I guess I'm selling it. So, yeah.
Oh,
Thanks, Kelsey.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Julia.
did y'all have any scenes that you found particularly difficult to get through, whether it be like really emotional, or were you just laughing too hard to get through any of your lines?
Yes. I had a scene where it was very, I actually had to go to therapy for this scene. So I had a scene where I was in an alternate world and we were at my mom's deathbed, kind of like in the hospital. And I had to confess to Dean what was going on. And it was very, very hard scene. And so it was an emotional place I wanted to get to. And I'm not great with big emotional scenes. So, but I was in a great place and I was in the middle of the scene and I was really getting to the place where I needed to go. And I was like, oh my God, it's real. Like we're really doing this. And somebody's phone rang.
Oh.
It was one of the camera people's phones. And I disappeared. I shut down so hard. And I don't know what I did after that. I was literally like, I vacated my body and I could not do what I wanted to do. And I was so devastated that I didn't do what I thought the script needed to do, that when they did the scene later where I had to read The Hobbit to my mom at the very end, I just like wept. And I don't cry very easily as in person or on camera. And it was just like I was under such pressure and such shame that I couldn't really, and it turned out great. I don't know why, but I didn't get this. I had this idea of what I want to do, and it got ruined by that phone call. And so it turned out to be better because that last scene was really where the meat of the show was. But it is what it is. And you have to roll with it and go with it, and maybe not be so hard on yourself. And that's what I learned after having some therapy.
It's the cameraman's fault.
You would have been upset, right? Like that was but I didn't notice it. That for my, yeah, it was bad. It was bad because it was like I was confessing everything. It's fine. It is what it is. It's TV. You got to do what you got to do and move on, right? I wish you had been there to beat him up for me, Kim. I love this. I can't remember. The guy had dark hair. I think he wasn't on when I came back. He was like a camera AC. He was an AC. Yeah.
I'm gonna find my call sheet. I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna go get it. Hunt that fucker down. Be like, hi, I don't know if you remember me, but I have words for you.
Kim, I'm sorry, I said Kim after you. I'm so sorry.
I had a number of scenes that were outside in season 11, and I would get really cold in that dress. It was super comfy, but it was not built for cold weather. And so I would tuck those like hand warmers like everywhere I could. And I remember one take where it was also the episode where I had to write on Misha's chest, "I'm coming," which they realized after they'd already done this in the script, like that's ridiculous. The guys had already given him a really hard time for that. But I was getting smited by somebody, and I had to do this big physical thing. And I heard this like plop on the ground, and my first thought was, "Did I just poop?" I've never pooped during a scene before, but for whatever reason, that's what went through my head. But it was just my hand warmers falling out of wherever they were. So that take got ruined because I was like, huh? Yeah, smite the shit out of you.
I don't remember anything being, I remember things being challenging. I remember occasionally being like, I don't think it's safe for you to have the glass explode quite that close to my face. Maybe I know we're under a time constraint, but could we think of a different way of doing this? The hardest thing for me was listening to my child be shot. Just because it has to be, as an actor, I have a tendency to crank shit up. I know, shocking. Having met me, for all of you. You would not think that my tendency would be to go bigger because I'm already so large. But when I have an emotional scene, I want to crank it harder. I want to make sure that I don't leave it all on the stage for you. And the truth is, human beings, when they're having big feelings, it tends to be a few seconds before the true blah comes out. The initial is like stillness. And like, I have to remember how to breathe again. And that takes all of my defenses down because I became an actor so that I could incorporate all of my defenses and masking into my daily life. And every once in a while, they asked me to be like, cool, the price you pay is to be genuine in this moment and just imagine. And that was very difficult for me. And I had to do it a number of times in the cold with no coat because the director, Showalter, it was his very first one. I love him so much. He was like, now, it is about 11 degrees outside. And I was like, no, she would not grab a coat. She just watched her son eat her husband's intestines. He's like, all right, I agree. Let's go. As you do. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Hello there, Jamie. This question is brought to us by Felicia as Vi from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, thank you. My first real job. Thank you.
Okay, that's actually kind of the nature of the question is for all of you, what was maybe your kind of small breakthrough and what did it mean for you? Like maybe early on? And you know, did you just have a moment like, oh my gosh, I've finally done it? That sort of thing. What was the moment like?
And we're still waiting.
That's fine.
That'll be our death, I believe, or for me, like, oh. I feel like people send those gifted kid memes around. They're like, oh, I was all A's and now I think about my daily failure all the time. That's it. I think that's us as actors because I don't think there are very many actors who, even if they won an Oscar, don't wake up and be like, why am I not working today? Or what am I? It's really a very discontent business. And, we just have to accept what we get and like it. But, my break was Buffy, knowing that, I did nothing. I was so stupid. Continue to be. And I think, being on that set and seeing the fan family together and then seeing how the fans interacted, it made me want to be on shows like this for the rest of my life. And I'm so very lucky that I've been able to do that. So, Supernatural is an extension of my time on Buffy, where I learned, that's the best part of life, just to be part of something like this.
I did a soap opera called Another World for 3 years, and that was probably my transition from stage acting into television. So that would be it. But no, I never landed. I never was like, thank God, I've arrived. No. I spent my last day waiting for them to recognize that someone had let me in and politely requested I leave.
My first TV gig was also a soap opera.
Which one?
I was on Guiding Lights. Yeah, do you remember Procter and Gamble?
Yeah, that's Procter & Gamble show.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And it was crazy. It was crazy because they just go through so much in a day. And it gave me a tremendous amount of respect for those actors. It was also where I had to deliver one of the most challenging lines ever. And I did it with a straight face. So that did feel like, I was like, I've arrived in some way. Because okay, I'm going to try to do this as fast as possible. I first came in a flashback. I was a character that a lot of people knew about because I'd broken up a marriage between Harley and Mallet. Those were their names. And then I came back in the present because Mallet and I had been cop partners together, and then we had an affair, and then he got a divorce, and then I was gone, and then I came back because somebody that we had put in jail was like maybe stalking me. So we had a scene together, and I was telling him I was worried, and he was like, "So you're looking for a bodyguard?" And I had to say, "You can guard my body anytime, Mallet." And I did it without breaking. And so that felt like a big coup. But yeah, I mean, as actors, my favorite questions are when people are like, so how did you decide to do Supernatural? Or how did you decide to do Star Wars? I auditioned for 100 things that year. I didn't get 99 of them. And I'm so grateful that like some of the jobs that I have gotten have been these incredible universes where the fandom is so passionate about it. And the life of that show gets to extend beyond just that little window where I'm actually working on it. It's a huge gift because there's a lot of really talented actors who do really incredible work, and they just might not be on a show that has that thing. There's a lot of good things that get made that just get missed. And then there's a lot of things that get really hyped up that wind up not being very good. So it's weird. It's such a weird thing to be a part of. And yeah, you have to find that feeling that you've made it. Like, you have to figure out what that means to you, because I don't think anyone outside is ever going to really let you feel like you've made it. There's no really like settling in.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Josh. I just want to say, Felicia, first saw you in Dr. Horrible. That was well, my real question is, we're in the age of reboots and remakes. If they ever decided to do a continuation of Supernatural, would you all ever consider coming back if they found a way to bring your character
I
back?
mean, I think we made clear that we'd take any job possible.
The real question is, would they ask us?
When they asked us, yeah. No. I mean, I think that, I mean, it would be an incredible blessing to be the character. I mean, for me, I would love to revisit Charlie. I mean, I think that when they brought me back as an alternate version of myself, that was such a compliment. It's so wonderful to be able to see the show out. But I didn't really get enough real estate to actually get my character back to where I wanted to with the boys, to feel like that she was part of the Winchesters. Again, I think we could have done it like 1 or 2 episodes. You know, I did this great episode with Sam as the alternate Charlie, and we kind of formed a relationship there. I just needed one more episode with Dean where we could have ended up that we kind of got back together, and we just, you know, they were busy. I of course was like, why is my character not in more episodes? Well, you know what? They're going to use you the way they need to use you. And that's why I write my own shows. I never kill myself off. But I would really love to revisit my character in the supernatural world, because I think there's more to be said there on both versions of me. Let's tell that to the producers.
I mean, the problem is, the good problem is that they created so many incredible characters. And so it was hard to revisit. I also was so thrilled that I got to come back at all for the last season. I definitely would love to get to see Amara have a different ending after getting absorbed. So sure. Yeah.
Yes, what they said. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Claire, and my question is, what was the hardest episode to make?
Oh, wow. The hardest for me was, there was an episode where I came back and I had to be in a dumpster at the very top of the episode. And then a bad guy opens the dumpster and I have to go from a crouch to putting my rapier, which is like a little, you know, swordy thing, under the guy's chin and then jumping out. Now, I am not physically coordinated. And I'm never in shape. So my guys were already trembling by, you know, inside a dumpster, which was barely clean for the record. And then they open, and I didn't have my contact lenses in either. And then they open this, and then there's a light shining in my face, and I had to then hit a man in this tiny little thing under his eye, almost put his eye out twice. And then I was like, can we have someone else do this? I've never done that before, but I just literally could not do it. There was a combination of factors that the stunt, which was not even that hard, was impossible for me to physically do. So I'm so glad that man still has his right eye. And whoever was
Just left one.
exactly, I was like, so that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, and I failed at it. So, but somebody else was paid to make me look good, and that was, yeah.
Yeah, I think hard is physical. I think the hardest no, again, because we had stunt doubles, so it was like, oh, it's really hard, so you do it. Thank y'all. But I did get a stunt bump once when I did my own. Clotheslining is a thing where if you're running really fast and then somebody else goes like this right across your neck and you get thrown back, that's called a clothesline. And I did my own clothesline. I was the one getting clocked, not the fist. They won't give you a bump for a fist. But so I had a harness on, and then there was a very long bungee cord that they screwed into the ground. And yes, this high-tech stunt was done this way. You run hell bent for leather and try to pretend you don't know you're attached to the ground. You run over a mattress they've put down, but you bend your knees enough so that you don't go like this or like this on camera. So camera just sees you running like this, even though your legs go run, 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 run. And then at some indeterminate time, you hope that the kid shoves his arm out so that when you go and you fly backwards, and that took a few times. I also had a fight partner once that kept hitting me. He just could not miss, and I'm like, I'm getting. He's not a stunt. He was a day player, and he was not a stuntman. And our stunt coordinator was getting so mad, and I'm like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. But he's like, this is unacceptable. He finally like reworked the fight, so he didn't keep clocking me. I'm like, gee, okay.
I'm gonna beat that guy up for you. Okay? You can wait, see.
It's okay, Rob Hader. Did you work with Rob?
No, I'm a hater. No.
Yeah, Rob.
Rob took care of it.
Rob had words with him.
Okay.
Rob is a frightening man when he's not happy. So yeah. Yeah.
Mine would be the one that I already talked about, where I was up in the harness, and that partly because of the physical component of it, and because it was freezing out, and because I remember our hours were just so long on that episode, especially because I had to have like a prosthetic wound in my torso, so I had to get there really early, and it was like the end of the season, and I was just like physically exhausted. And I wasn't sure if I was coming or going. It was just physically and emotionally, I guess, draining, but also fun at the same time. Torture.
Yeah.
Thank you. Forgive me, my mic has died, so we have time for one more question.
Oh,
Sorry, everybody back there.
make it good.
Sorry, guys.
So for everybody, thank you for embodying women outside the normal archetype. And to Huntsville for doing a ladies panel, because that's an important show.
Yeah.
So kind of been outside the normal casting part. What is the cause that you would love people who support you to maybe get into or look at, a cause that's maybe close to your heart? That way we get that out there as well.
Thanks for that. I'm gonna jump in because I do a raffle at every convention, and I'm doing one here for an organization called Voices Against Cancer. And it is a group that's based in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and they fund pediatric cancer research, but they also have created this incredible community of emotional support. You know, it goes beyond the financial support. It's about also like making sure people who are dealing with this are being cared for on every level. So that includes like the siblings of little kids who are going through cancer treatment and how disruptive that is to the family unit. And that cause just became dear to me a few years ago because I met some of them. I got to do a convention for them, and I lost my dad to cancer. So I mean, cancer's everywhere, unfortunately. And I am so appreciative that really just because I started doing these raffles, people share their stories with me, and I feel like it's an example of how this community just gets to be deeper and more connected, and we get to know each other on such an intimate level, even if we only interact for a few minutes. And so I thank all of you for sharing your stories. And if you do want to come enter the raffle, it's $5 a ticket. You can get an autographed hammer. One of these days I will raffle off a supernatural something. I keep doing Mandalorian things, but I need to do something supernatural. So that's my spiel.
I am autistic. My daughter is autistic. My father was probably autistic. Makes a lot of sense now. And I would say that something that is important to me is learning how supporting a neurodivergent community is not at the expense of the neurotypical community. When you support a minority or underserved group, you actually raise the level for everyone's experience. So I encourage people to start looking at support needs not as a threat to themselves, but as an offering for the world to expand its own experience.
It's hard to top. I mean, it's sort of, I would say that 2025, I don't know about you guys, but it feels like a lot of things are breaking down. And the things that you thought were kind of a norm and it are not now. And I think that when you realize everything is transient and can be broken, especially if, people aren't stopping you from breaking them. We're in a very delicate world. And so I just want to urge you guys that if you care about something, narrow your focus down to that one thing. And I don't want to tell you what it is, but show up, especially if there's something local. Show up. And if there's an ability for you to turn out and show your strength in numbers for whatever it is that you love, show up. You showing up, one person, one vote can make a difference, but everybody together can make a statement. I don't care if this is about a political cause or a nonprofit, whether it's turning out and giving $10 to the Huntsville Ballet, where I took lessons, you make a difference. And it can feel like you don't, especially when the world's crumbling and your norms are not there. You just want to kind of cuddle up with your favorite show. Do that, but also pick one thing you really care about and find a local way to get physically involved, because that's going to make a really big difference to somebody else in your life or in your community.
Yes.
We have to.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
complete nerve authority.